think there's something extraordinary happening in the United States, and it's because of this surge of youthful interest and not interest, really, commitment to changing our food system. And it's a beautiful thing to experience. Young people starting gardens, wanting to teach children, wanting to be in the restaurant business, not because they want to make money, but because they want to use local foods and feed their friends. And it's just a feeling that is so sort of creative and expansive, and I feel very hopeful for a big change to happen in the United States. I think it's really developed in the last couple of years. Well, I come from an education point of view. I taught school before I opened Chez Panisse 40 years ago. And I really believe in the democracy of public education. It's the one place that you can touch every single child. And if children come into school when they're very little and are brought into a new relationship to food, and it's something very positive, that they can learn the values of stewardship of the land, they can learn the values of how to nourish themselves, they can come to the table and communicate with one another. And that, to me, is an essential education that every school on this planet needs to embrace. Those are the values that really are essential for the survival of everyone on this planet. Well, I've always been feeding people ideas as a cook, as somebody who serves in the dining room. I'm interested really in that sort of subliminal education where you're bringing those good smelling dishes to the table, and when you're inviting people into the kitchen, you're giving them tastes that they've never had before, and then they become curious and they ask the right questions. Well, where did this come from? We've always put that on the menu, that we have this peach and it comes from this farm. We have this fish, and it comes from that place on the coast, from those people who are sustainably fishing. And it's so easy to communicate with people with food. It's much harder to lecture, speak without a sort of a hands-on sensual engagement. We need to develop a criteria for the buying of food that's, of course, based on the ideas of good, clean, and fair. And once you put that in place, and I've only seen it in small scale, but it's very, very powerful, the way that the buying of food for my restaurant has really engaged the farmers and helped them to find ways of really living on the farm, because we're willing to pay the price for the food. And that's what's critical. So if the schools would pay the real price for the food, so that the ranchers and the farmers and the fishermen and the bakers and the dairy people could really earn a living producing food sustainably, then we could just change that food system overnight. I mean, it would be amazing, just in that one way. But I'm sure that in the process of the procuring of the food and connecting the producers with the school and with the children, that it would change the whole life of the school. I've seen that happen, where all of a sudden the children are going out to the farm and the farmers are interested in the children. So I think if there were one thing that I would do to change the food system, it would be to develop this criteria for buying so that the money went directly to the farms.